Hello and welcome to San Diego Sports Junkies. We bring a hometown perspective for everything sports San Diego. My name is Josh. You can follow me on Twitter, SDFan2378. I'm here with my co-host,
Justin Smead, and I'm at Bolts Pride 21. You can follow me on Twitter as well. I got tons of news for you. If you need me to shout you out once in a while, give me a tweet back.
And I'm Jason. You can follow me at LBHost. And I actually most of my tweets are political, so if you I will be tweeting some Charger stuff this year. But if you want to follow Padre and Aztec stuff, you're going to want to follow these guys.
After the show, we're going to be on pmlbsports.com. You can check the replay. We also are going to be streaming live every Monday at 7 p.m. So you can always come on here, pmlbsports.com, and check out the show. We will be getting our own website here shortly, in which you can then follow there. Getting right into it, guys. Padres bullpen coach Darryl Ackerfelds, my apologies, passed away on Sunday. Kind of a tough loss.
Yeah, big loss for the Padre family. 16 seasons with the Padres. Will be missed around Padre land. He was a big part of the bullpen. Started there as a minor league coach and worked his way up. And, man, it's going to be a big loss for them.
I'd heard that when they brought Darren Balsley in, they had actually considered hiring him as the pitching coach. And it was kind of interesting because usually when something like that happens, when the bullpen coach doesn't get promoted, if they bring in somebody outside, he usually will go somewhere else because he wants to become a pitching coach. And he actually had offers from some other teams as well, but he wanted to stay in San Diego. He just loved it here.
He was a hometown guy.
Yeah, he just loved being a bullpen coach here, and the guys absolutely loved him out there. It was a real sad loss. That pancreatic cancer that's a rough one to get.
Any cancer's tough, but and nobody really beats cancer. I mean, it's hard to beat, and
right.
we lost a good one.
Yeah, we really did. It was quite a bummer. Quite a bummer to hear about.
Absolutely. Stay on topic with the Padres. They're 26-47. They were 4-6 on their last road trip. They did finish, however, interleague play at 8-7. So that was kind of nice.
That's the best interleague record they've had ever, I think. Don't they always finish below 500 interleague? For some reason, we always get smashed.
They haven't been very good in interleague for sure. They are on a 10-game road trip right now at Houston, currently playing right now, Colorado, and then on to Arizona, which hopefully we can get the bats going a little more.
Oh, yeah. The bats are a big key for us, and it's been a big key for us all year. We just have struggled at the plate, and nothing's been going right. I mean, there's a couple bright spots with Carlos Quentin coming back from the DL, and Chris Denorfia is lighting it up. But other than that, really, Everett Cabrera, that guy too, doing some good things with his bat and his speed on the base path. And it's a transition year. We knew it was going to be a down year. I guess we shouldn't have expected anything more, but hey, it's the Padres season, and we're 24 and something rather. So, I mean, it's ridiculous how the bats just haven't come alive.
That's been really what's been killing us this year. I'm very disappointed in the fact that when you go into the season, you really have high expectations, even when your team isn't as good. I was expecting them to play a lot closer to 500, and it's been horrible. And I've been harping out when we were doing the Padre cast, way too many strikeouts for as many home runs as we're hitting. For me, that is the key. We strike out like we're a power-hitting team, and we are last or down at the bottom in home runs.
No patience at the plate. You're exactly right. It's terrible to watch.
Right. I was watching the telecast, and they actually showed that we were third worst, or I should say third best, however you want to look at it, in strikeouts in Major League Baseball, and that's just not going to get a cut.
No.
A few bright spots as far as Carlos Quentin goes since the guy's come back from the DL. He's been really clutch. He's had 12 extra base hits. 6 of which have been home runs. His on-base percentage is really good. He's batting .324 since returning from the DL. Pretty nice bright spot for us, huh?
Oh, that's one of the only bright spots we've had, and it's been a joy to actually anticipate his bat in the lineup, because every time he gets up, you actually sit down and watch an at bat, and it's hard to say that about other players on the team. And right now, he's hitting the ball like he's a grown man.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in one player making a big difference on wins and losses, and I don't think that our wins and losses have improved dramatically with him in the lineup, but
Right.
If he was there from day one, do you think it would have added some? I got to think we'd have at least 5 more victories with him in the lineup.
I think
from
5
the
at the most, yeah. But the way the other guys have come around, I mean, it just hasn't worked. And one guy, like you said, isn't going to change a whole baseball team. It takes the whole 9. So
right. But I think if we have him from the beginning, I think that we get a little more excited. The team gets a little better chemistry. Because it kind of feeds off of it. When you got one player that's really doing well, it kind of feeds off it, the lineup. And unfortunately, when we've been struggling as much as we can at the plate. When we add him to it, it's not gonna happen overnight.
And other players might be getting some better pitches too, with him in the lineup. And
exactly.
I think we've been missing that, and he's played way above. Back on PadreCast, I'm gonna keep referring to that, guys. I had predicted that he'd probably lead the team in home runs. It looks like it's going to happen now. And this was back when we weren't sure when he was going to play.
And he's only played, how many games so far?
Like 20-something
Unbelievable.
games.
Right. And the other bright spot, Chris Denorfia, I have down here his 11-game hitting streak, but he's actually got a 12-game hitting streak.
12-game hitting streak as of an hour ago. I was watching the game before we got here, and back past month he's been batting over 300. He's got a 285 average for the whole year overall, and the guy's getting it done. I wish he was a everyday player. I don't know why there's times where he's on the bench. He's a spark off the bench. I think he has a little David Eckstein in him right here, little guy in the bobblehead here. But he just has a little grittiness to him. He gets up there, he chokes up when he needs to choke up, and every time there's an 0-2 count, he seems to slap the ball down the line somewhere and get on base for us.
The thing about Denorfia is, on most teams, if you have a team that's full of major league players, he's a great guy to have off the bench. I've never really been of the mindset that he's a starter who should be playing every day. But with the Padres team that they have right now, I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
He should be in the starting lineup. I mean, there's nobody right now playing any better than him besides Quentin.
I agree.
Right.
Let's get him in there as much as we can. At least, we need somebody that's going to spark some offense. We need some offense. We just need some offense.
So on another note, unfortunately, there's many more lowlights than there is highlights as far as the Padre goes.
Yeah.
Cameron Maben, his last 30 days, he's batting 184 with a minuscule 226 on base percentage. You figured after signing him to that 5-year deal, everybody was so high on him, and he just hasn't produced.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. The batting average isn't cutting it. The 5-year deal that he got, everybody here at Padreland was excited about it.
Right.
He's a bright spot. Like I mentioned to you before, he is almost like a 5-tool player. He's got most of it. The power will come, but and we were talking about this the other day. And maybe he does need a stint down in AAA for a little while. Maybe a change of scenery. He's got so much talent.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see him struggle so bad when he had a really just an awesome year last year.
Yeah.
And it's been tough to watch. And like all the other Padre players, it's been hard to watch this year.
It's been like a virus going through the offense. It's terrible. It's really bad. And they sent Will Venable down last year. I'm not sure why they wouldn't send Maven down and just maybe work on his confidence. He strikes out so much. I hate strikeouts. I hate him, and he strikes out with bases loaded all the time. It's very frustrating.
Like you said, back to Chris Denorfia, you can if they send Maven down, you put Will Venable in center. He covers tons of ground.
Right.
You have Quentin in left, and then you throw Denorfia out there in right. That there alone is going to improve the lineup night after night.
Right. Yeah, you can't put Denorfia in center. He's a decent center fielder, but he's a decent outfielder. He's not a center fielder.
No, not at all. He's more of a left or a right fielder guy.
Right.
He covers ground, but he's not a Cameron Maben out there.
No.
So, but we definitely need to see Cameron Maben pick it up. Or like you said, if Venable's going to go down, might as well send Maben down for a little while. For a stint.
I agree.
Right, and then Yonder Alonso, another guy that's been struggling.
Love this kid too.
We thought that he would be, that bat in the lineup. He produced very well. Was it Cincinnati?
Yeah, we got him for the Latos deal, yeah.
Right, and he produced really well for them down the stretch, and we thought that would roll over when it comes, to our lineup and whatnot, and he just hasn't been doing it. The guy the last 30 days, he's batting 184. He's got a 225 on base percentage. The guy's got 1 home run and 5 RBIs.
Well, home run's not his game. He's a gaps guy. Yeah. The power's going to come. One thing we got to remember, he's very, very young. This is his first full season. I think that our expectations were a little bit high for him. He's been like a roller coaster. He started out really bad, and his D was horrible at the beginning of the year.
Now his D's a little bit, I mean, it's decent now.
Yeah, his D's been good, and he went really, really high in the middle, and he's just on his way back down again. You're going to have that with young guys. I'm as down as I was when you first wrote this. The more I thought about it, is we're going to have this growing pains. He's young. He's like 24.
Yeah, he's a young guy. I mean, when we got him from Cincinnati in the Latos deal, like we said, we had expectations of him because of what we heard from Cincinnati.
Yes.
People hyped this kid as a gaps hitter, perfect for Petco Park. He gets here, he struggles. Then he hits that month where he was just on fire, and we're like, man, there's the bat right there.
Yes.
He's got a pure swing, and he's struggling now. I mean, like you said, a roller coaster ride. We were just too high on him, and I think we're criticizing him a little too much. But he's gonna come along. He's a good player. He is very young.
I agree.
So some weird things that I ran across when I was doing a little research and whatnot. Major League Baseball stadiums runs per game. Petco Park has only a 7 run per game average, meaning between the Padres and their opponents, there's only 7 runs being scored there. The ironic thing is AT&T Park, Safeco, and Dodger Stadium are all in the bottom 4, and I mean, is it a West Coast thing? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, is the pitching really that good, or is the hitting that bad, or is it a combination of things?
Well, for me, I don't know the answer, but a lot of people contributed to the dense air on the West Coast in the evenings. I don't know if that's true at all. I just think you need players to get in your lineup. I mean, you're not going to blame the weather or how your conditions are on your season. So nobody else is either. So that's just really ironic and very coincidental, because you're looking there, like you said, all on the West Coast, and 7. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I was amazed when I saw those numbers too. I think it's coincidental. I think that the Padres runs are down because they do play in a big park and they can't hit. I think that's part of it.
And it's huge.
Yeah, I just get really tired of people complaining about the personal stadium. I know that's not what you're doing here, but people complain. Right. You hear people complain about Coors Field, and you hear people complaining about Petco Park. It's not like one team's hitting in one stadium and then we're traveling to the other one for the other team to hit. You're playing in the same stadium. Exactly. You're both hitting. It's a fair deal. If the runs are slow for you, the runs are going to be low for the other guys.
Exactly.
How about hit the gaps a little bit better? How about pitch a little bit better?
How about spend some money on your payroll?
Yeah,
pitching. I mean, we lost Anthony Bass. That's now 6 starters that we've lost, and I mean that's
your boy too.
That's a huge killer. I mean, I was really high on Anthony Bass. I mean, the guy really showed top 2 in the rotation type stuff, and for him to go down now, I mean, we're really working with a minor league system, unfortunately, and the pitching rotation is kind of tough.
Oh, man.
We're pulling guys out of the hat, man. I mean, do you want to come up and pitch? Is pretty much what they're asking them in AAA. Are you good?
I had heard some people were talking about the Padres. No, they weren't thinking about it, but people were suggesting the Padres sign Jamie Moyer to come in, which would have been interesting. I was reading, I follow somebody, I'll mention her maybe a little bit later, Cindy Gurley. We've talked about her before.
Right.
She writes a blog after every Padre game.
Right.
And she was complaining about the actual the staff. Maybe it's their fault why all these people are getting hurt. Maybe
training staff.
Yeah, maybe it's the training staff.
Right.
Maybe it's a training staff or a strength and conditioning issue.
Maybe it's
Absolutely.
not coincidental.
Maybe it's the water in San Diego because the Chargers have the same issue. So maybe we got a water problem here. Maybe we need to get our water trucked in from somewhere else.
Yeah,
we'll switch to Gatorade.
Yeah.
We'll get to them soon enough.
Yes.
As far as our pitching goes, some bit of good news down on the farm. Andrew Kashner. He's pitched in Double-A Tucson. He's got 14 and a third innings, 6 hits, 1 run. He's got 22 strikeouts. I mean, they're saying that his slider is dominant. Does he have number 1 stuff if he can keep healthy? And
there's no doubt about it. He's got number 1 stuff, man. He's got a over 100+ mile an hour fastball with a loaded curveball that sweeps in there. He can throw the change on you when he wants to. He's got all the tools, all the pitches he needs. He's down there just getting his arm ready for a long stint up here as a starter. That's what they're doing. They're preparing him for the big leagues. That's all his job and assignment is down there. So when he's ready, yeah, of course he's gonna be a number 1 type of guy with that stuff.
He threw his last start. He threw 94 pitches, 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. The interesting thing for him, I wonder if it's a mental thing, Because when you come in as a reliever, you know, they had talked about moving him to closer when Houston Street got hurt, which I was completely against.
Right.
When you come in as a reliever, if you come in and you give up one run, you've failed. You know, you're only going to throw 1 or 2 innings.
You only get one chance.
You come in as a starter, you come in the first inning, give up a run, you still got a chance to win. And I wonder if it's a mental thing with him where he knows I'm going to be throwing 6 or 7 innings. I can relax a little bit. I don't have to just be lights out this one inning.
Put it all on his shoulders,
once they convert him to a starter, and I was talking to a huge Cubs fan when we got him, and he's saying, this guy, you want him to start. He's going to be a starter for you guys. And, I mean, it looks like he was right. You know, I mean, it's only in the minor leagues, but mentally, we all know he physically can throw. We know that he can throw.
But serious tools.
When he's a starter, maybe he can pitch too.
Right. Well, it's kind of like with Thayer. I mean, they only bring him in against left-handers. They rarely ever... Thatchers. Sorry. They rarely ever leave him in there against anybody but left-handed pitchers. I mean, the guy's got a ton of appearances, but if you look at his innings pitched, that's only maybe a third of what his appearances are.
Right.
So, guys, you know, our farm system is really growing. You know, I think we're ranked in the top 3, if not at the top.
Quote unquote,
as far as our farm system goes.
I don't know how far that goes.
They play great down there.
We got Yasmani Grandal and Reimer Liriano, who just got selected to the 2012 Future All-Star roster. They're going to be playing in that All-Star game. You know, will the Padres bring up Yasmani, because we know how much Hundley has been struggling, you know, offensively. I mean, yes, he's been throwing people out, but offensively, you know, he's really been struggling, and he can help boost our, you know, our lineup.
Definitely. You know, I'm really high on Yasmani Grandal. He's a switch hitter, power hitter. He can hit all sides of the field. Down in AAA right now, as we speak, he's batting over 300 with 6 home runs, 6 jacks, and 33 ribbies in Tucson, and that's a bandbox anyway down there. But on base percentage well over 400, so he gets on base for you. And for me, Hundley and Baker, I hate to hate on these guys. I really like these guys. I told you how much I like Hundley. He just isn't getting it done. Yasmani Grandal can come up here, add a little spark. His defense needs to be worked on a little bit. He's not as good as Hundley, of course. But if you're going to get some pop in here from each side of the plate, that's the kind of guy I'm looking for. And you might be a little excited about him, too.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. And I guess the last little bit of Padre news, Kip Wells. They announced it actually just before we got here that he's going to be starting tomorrow. You know, what's your guys' feeling on that? I mean, obviously we need help in the starting rotation. Do you see him as a permanent thing, or is this just a spot start type deal?
He's like our 14th starter this year already. I mean, it's not even the All-Star break. We've had 14 different starting pitchers. They were talking about there's a few teams that have only had 6. And we're at 14.
And I think the record's like 20, 22.
Yeah, and they're going to call up some guys in September. We're going to probably hit that. It's you know, I mean, you know, the bottom line is I hate to be a hater and I hate to be so down right now, but I don't think it matters who they got to hit. I mean, you go in there, it's got to be so defeating when you go in there. If you give up 2 runs in the first inning, you walk back to that dugout and you say, well, this is a big loss for me. You know, we're not going to win.
No. You're already deflated before you start, you know.
It's just rough. They got to hit. They got to work on the hitting, and who knows what the answer is to that. I'm
in agreement. You know, that's. I mean, they could plug anybody they want in there. Right now is just. And as Padre fans, we're not used to the starting staff being like this. We are so accustomed to having good pitching, having solid bullpen. This has never been an issue besides the last couple of years now. And prior to that, we were dominant in baseball. We had lowest ERA out of the pen. Gregerson and Adams coming out of the pen, Bell. You just didn't ever worry about these kinds of things. Now we're worrying about the whole picture here with the Padres: batting, pitching, bullpen. Can we hold a lead? Can't we hold a lead? It's getting to
Can we get a lead?
Can we do something?
So each week we're going to do a thing called Pick to Click, and we're basically going to pick somebody out of the lineup, which is going to be pretty challenging to do. We might have the same guy between all 3 of us, but we're going to try to pick somebody each week and go through it, you know, from week to week and see, you know, how, you know, we're doing as far as picking who's going to do better that week. Me personally, I think I stepped on myself already. I picked up Yonder Alonso. You know, we're going to Houston, Colorado, both good hitting parks, but it looks like he's got a little knee issue. They're sitting him out today. They're going to reevaluate him. There's a good chance he might even play this week.
I sure hope he gets a lot of hits pinch hitting because that's the only way you're going to be good.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Everybody's got to source something, right?
Yeah.
Jeez. And go ahead. You can pick the clip.
Okay, I'll go. Mine's Will Venable. He's been having a solid season. He's really always underperformed what I figured he would do for his career. But he's doing better this year than he did last year. He's having a solid season. I wouldn't say great. Lots of room in the outfield in Colorado for extra base hits. He's got to find those gaps. He's got the speed. I think that it's going to be his week.
Love Will Venable, man. He's one of my favorites. I wish he'd stayed consistent.
Yeah.
My pick to click would be Kristen Orphy. I touched on it earlier. Batting over 300 for the last month, 285 right now overall. He's actually my pick to do other things, bigger things. Maybe an all-star game is in the future. I don't know. But a 12-game hitting streak as of today, this afternoon. He picked up another RBI for us. I mean, the kid's, he gets to the plate and he wants to hit the ball. He doesn't act like he's scared and he doesn't want to hit the ball. I'd rather see a strike three with a swing than a strike three looking and hanging your head going back to the dugout.
Would that be the first bench player to ever make the All-Star game?
You know what? The people keep saying he's a bench player. I mean, but like you said earlier, not on this team. He should be an everyday starter.
Yeah, on this team he should be. You know, it's funny you bring up the All-Star game, and we chatted about that during the pre-show a little bit.
Right.
Who else on the Padres could make who else should they send?
Besides Quentin, if you have a case, but he hasn't played enough
Quentin
games.
hasn't played enough games.
Yeah.
Houston Street's played great, but he hasn't played enough games.
Yep.
That said, but also, would you want to be that guy on the Padres that made the All-Star team because they had to send somebody?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at numbers, maybe Chase Headley. I mean, his average has dropped significantly. He does lead the team in home runs and RBIs, but that it's not saying
for
much.
now.
I was hearing a joke the other day. I was on the radio broadcast of the Padres, and one of the announcers goes, maybe we should send our specialist Joe Thatcher in there. So if they need to shut down one bat for the guys to get an NL victory, then maybe we should just send him.
He's as good as anybody.
I agree.
They just don't have anybody. It's really sad that this almost makes. I've always been a proponent of everybody should have a player because you want. But I would have no problem if they said no Padre this year because nobody really deserves to go.
Nobody deserves to go.
Nobody deserves to go.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So moving on from the Padres, let's get to some more, in my opinion, exciting news. Football season's around the corner.
Oh, I can't wait, man.
I mean, we had a tough year last year. I mean, we finished 8-8. Unfortunately, lost the tiebreaker to Denver and Tebow.
Nice.
But they had a lot of offense. I mean, we put up 406 points. The defense, however, gave up 377. Only the Bills, Colts, Raiders, and Broncos, and I did say Broncos, just in case you guys are watching, gave up more points than the Chargers did. You know, what's you guys feel as far as this year goes?
I'm very pumped up. I'm very pumped up every year for the Chargers. I think that, you know, we'll get into the changes that they made a little bit. I don't want to get too much into it right now.
Right.
I'm very excited for the season. I'm very excited every year. I think injuries are going to be a key like they are a lot. Injuries were a key last year. If we can stay healthy, which everybody says, but Chargers can do it this year. They can really make a run. They can win the Super Bowl. They have the talent on offense. Everybody says yes, and everybody says
let's see how the defense gels this year, and I do agree with you, man.
Everybody has a question about the defense. I say if Pagano, if they gel with Pagano, they have a good defense.
Yes,
they have a good defense.
It
didn't work last year.
Right. And we kind of touched on that before. You know, they just didn't gel well, you know, with our previous D coordinator and you know, with Pagano, it's all about chemistry. I mean, if the guys can gel together, you're going to do good things.
Right. No, definitely. I'm just like Jason. All of you guys. I'm so pumped up for football and one of my favorite sports, and I'm a diehard just like everybody else, and I'm excited for what the possibilities could be this year with the Phillip Rivers-led football team, because that's just exciting every Sunday anyway with his show that he puts on, and with some of the key additions, like you said, maybe later we'll touch on those, but yes, exciting is the word, and let's see how that defense gels together.
Yeah.
Right. There's one person. There's one person specifically that we got in the draft that I think Peyton Manning's going to be shuffling his feet like we all know he does, and that's Melvin Ingram. You know, he's one of many quality people we got in the draft, but him specifically, I mean, the guy's got a motor.
Well, everybody always hypes up the mini camp and all that stuff, but everything I'm hearing, and everybody has a judgment on the draft, but I hear he could be the steal of the first round. I mean, that he fell right into our lap,
That's
exactly what we needed.
Unbelievable.
Nobody can even gather. I mean, they were just astounded when he was there, sitting there at 17. I mean, they said that the room and the war room was electric. They were just high-fiving each other because they knew what this kid can bring to a football team. Immediate impact.
We might have our replacement for Sean Merriman because we
Finally.
haven't. We weren't able to replace Sean Merriman with Sean Merriman his last few years here.
Exactly.
And he's probably won't be on the roids.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Yeah,
Hopefully
knock
not.
on wood, right? A couple other key additions. I mean, we got obviously John Pagano, our defensive coordinator, which obviously
biggest addition, I think, by the way.
Jason's very wet about.
Biggest addition.
We got Robert Meacham from New Orleans. We got Jarrett Johnson, going to bring some pedigree from Baltimore.
Yes.
Demario Williams, LaRon McClain, Eddie Royal. There's been a lot. I mean, again, it's minicamp, but there's been a lot of excitement when it comes to Eddie Royal, not only from special team standpoint, which they're thinking about throwing him out there, but also from the slot position.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He could be a dynamic that, honestly, we haven't had from the slot position in I don't know how long.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while since the Eric Parker days, I think, with that slash cut receiver. Eddie Royal's going to bring a game-changing sense to this team, and what I really love about him is his versatility. He can play special teams. He can be one of those specialty guys in the backfield, like a Darren Sproles was on reverse plays. And North Turner's into those reverse trick plays. He loves to throw those out once in a great while and just eat chunks of yards. I mean, 40, 50 yards at a time.
Well, look at what he did to us.
Exactly. And everybody knows what Eddie Royal did to the Chargers on Monday Night Football. I went to that game, and I was shaking my head, man. So, big acquisition there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some more Charger news. LT retired.
Yes.
He was the 5th leading all-time rusher, just a huge component of this organization, just a genuine, human being. He had 13,684 rushing yards, second all-time with 145 rushing touchdowns, only behind Emmitt Smith. MVP in his 2006 year, which we should have won the Super Bowl. Thanks to that dropped interception, we didn't.
Marlon McCree, baby. Marlon McCree.
That was rough. Can't blame him, but I still
can blame him a bunch of different
bitter.
things.
Yeah.
But I mean, them signing LT. I mean, you guys pretty stoked about that? Him retiring as a Charger.
I like it. My whole opinion on LT was when he left and went to the Jets, I hated him. I just hated him. I wanted him to get one yard per rush and fumble it every single time. As soon as he retired or decided he wasn't coming back anymore, I was ready to embrace him again.
Right.
I'm a fan. When you go somewhere else, I want you to lose. You come back. I actually, after last season ended, I was actually thinking I would like them to sign him as a third down back. I thought that would have been good. Now, I'm much happier with Ronnie Brown. I actually think Ronnie Brown's a better fit for this team. But at the time, I thought LT might have actually been a really good fit for the team. But this worked out great.
As far as options out there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They signed him. He comes back. He retires the Charger. He only went to the Jets. I know it's the Jets, but I hear he almost went to the Broncos. Did you guys hear about that?
Yes, I did. That would have been
a story on it, and
there would have been some people committing suicide over that. I'm pretty sure.
That would have been rough.
That would have been rough. I mean, it was bad enough that we got Hillman drafted by the Broncos, and I love that guy, and have to watch him, in a Broncos uniform. But that would have been the ultimate stab in the back as a Charger fan.
And just being in the division, man. It's so hard to just grasp a Bronco, and I just would have blew my top.
I would have had a real hard time welcoming him back with open arms when he was ready to retire if he was a Bronco. The Jets, I hate the Jets.
Oh, it's just
but, I agree. All right.
Right. So, I mean, mini camps ended. Our first preseason game is just around the corner. We're going to be August 9th against the Green Bay Packers. Pretty good challenge. I mean, I know it's preseason, but at least it's a good challenge to start the season off and see, what our defense and what our offense is made of.
Right.
No, I agree. We have the Packers, and I think we play the Cowboys too. So there's a lot of tough opponents there to start us off and maybe get us in shape for the regular season there.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got a little bit of Aztec news. First off, did you guys hear USA Today picks the Aztecs to finish second in the Mountain West as far as their football goes? Last year they were 8-5, but they had 4 Aztecs drafted to the NFL. Unfortunately, all in our division.
Right.
But 4 Aztecs were drafted. Do you think they brought in enough to really be number 2? I mean, we got a pretty pretty tough Mountain West Conference division.
We do. I think they brought in a kid, Andy Katz. He's a transfer from Oregon, and the kid, they rave about him. He's got potential stuff. I mean, he's got a cannon of an arm. He can run an offense. He's a leader. I think he's going into his junior year this year. So he's one of those guys that can be a leader immediately. And I think for the most part, we're going to have to see how the first couple of games go with Rocky Long's squad, because, I mean, if they're going to be consistent and they show a little promise, because there's a lot of new faces going to be in there next year without the, Hillman in there,
right.
And, Miles Burris on defense. You got a lot of guys that have departed, and it's going to be tough. We'll see how they get off to what their start's going to be like, and we'll see what happens from there.
So, I mean, Jason, you think they make a Pro Bowl this year?
A bowl game.
Make a bowl game? Yeah, I think they'll make a bowl game, although, I mean, the fact that they lost to Louisiana last year sickened me.
The Raging Cajuns.
It's all about the quarterback. Lindley, I know that last season I actually expect him to do a little bit better than he did. I think that's the bigger problem was the fact that he didn't have any receivers. He lost all his receivers.
Samson.
It's all about the quarterback this year. It depends on how the quarterback plays. Losing Lindley's huge. I mean, Hillman was a big loss. Tommy Draheim, somebody else who didn't even get drafted. I was surprised he didn't get drafted. But it's going to be about the quarterback this year. It's going to be about the quarterback play. That's what I think.
Yeah. Now it's Justin's favorite subject, and I'm not too far behind him. But Viejas Arena is going to be going off this year. Aztecs basketball finished 26-8. They were ranked 22 in the nation last year. Got a tough draw with NCAA tourney. Lost in the second round to NC State.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our key additions, are going to be pretty talented.
Oh, yeah. You've got guys in here that are ranked on the ESPN top 100 list. I mean, these guys that they're bringing in, they had 2 departures last year from a darn good squad, and they're bringing in some guys like Skylar Spencer, high school kid, Matt Shrigley, J.J. O'Brien, transfer from Utah. They're Winston Shepard from Findlay Prep in Las Vegas. They're bringing in a kid from James Johnson from Virginia Tech. He's got some size. He won't be eligible till halfway, mid through the season. But all in all, the recruiting from just the successful years, the past three seasons, is paying dividends now. You're getting guys recognizing Viejas Arena and the Aztecs as a whole as a national prominent program that can be ranked consistently and have a shot at the NCAA tournament.
Right. Also, what am I getting out? Aztec alum Kawhi Leonard was drafted by the Spurs, and he really played pretty solid this year. Got all the way to the conference final. I mean, he's a key factor of their team. He's going to be a starter for years to come.
It's amazing how much he grew throughout the season. At the beginning, he was only playing a few minutes, and at the end, he was a major part of that team.
Oh, starting at games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
We're, as a San Diego State fan, I'm pretty proud of him. I loved watching him play last year. He was a monster.
Yeah.
I think the Aztecs basketball, the key for them is size. I think they were a little undersized last year.
Right.
I think that they got some bigger guys coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I think them making the tournament actually last year they overachieved a tiny bit.
Very much so.
I think this year they're just going to be so much better. I think we can actually expect a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this as far as what you guys feel that we're going to dominate the Mountain West, which I'm pretty confident we're going to. As far as how far they go into the NCAA tourney, do we get an Elite Eight? Do we get a Final Four? I mean, are we stretching out there too far?
We're pushing it a little bit.
Sweet 16. What do you think?
For me, a realistic, don't discount UNLV. I mean, this isn't a weak division. New Mexico.
Right.
We watched some tough games last year, brother.
Absolutely.
I mean, we were sitting there sweating bullets, and but as far as how far they can go, realistically, bringing in the athleticism, versatility, the height, like you were touching on. I say an Elite Eight appearance would be fantastic, and maybe that would be overachieving. Sweet 16 again. I hope they better get to a Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think Sweet 16 is a goal that we can all kind of. I mean, you of course want to win the whole thing, of course.
Right.
I think Sweet 16 would be a success, and if they go farther, that's gravy.
Oh, yeah,
I think if they don't make it to the Sweet 16, would be a little bit disappointing.
It would be for me too.
With the talent they brought in, I mean, they got some really impressive transfers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. For them not to get to the Sweet 16, I would be
a little saddened
about that. I want to touch on baseball just briefly. Surprisingly enough, actually, they were 26-24 this year. made it to the Mountain West Conference Championship, but they got slaughtered by New Mexico.
Right.
Gwynn, obviously, with his cancer, he was, out almost all year. I mean, he had a short period of time, at the end of the year that he was there. Also with the front office stuff at the Padres, not to jump subject, but we got the O'Malleys that looks like they're going to be the front runners, and they want to bring Tony Gwynn into the front office. Do you see that happening?
Me personally, as far as it's going to affect Tony Gwynn and the Aztecs, I don't think it's going to affect them all that much as far as the face of the franchise. He can bring in recruits with his face and as far as who he is, but over since 2003, they've only had 3 winning seasons. It's not like they're dominating every year, and he'll be greatly missed. Like you touched on,
point.
Yeah, cancer has interrupted all this stuff, and it's been tough on him. I think he would be more. I think he'd be more profound to go to the Padres front office organization and help them put a face with the organization.
I actually like him going to the Padres and maybe being a roving instructor.
Right.
I don't think he could be. I'm not necessarily going to say he could be the hitting coach for the Padres, but roving instructor throughout the minor leagues and stuff, I think would be great for him.
Yep. Right. I'm going to jump into a few questions here. So Ryan Leaf, he was sentenced to 5 years for breaking into a house and stealing prescription painkillers from Montana. I mean, are we ever going to get rid of
him? By the way,
yeah.
Up there.
Are we ever going to get rid of this guy? Like, this is obviously the worst thing that has ever come out of San Diego Chargers product.
Yeah, the thing about him is we were so upset about having drafted Ryan Leaf and stuff, but LaDainian Tomlinson kind of cured us of that when we got him in the first round, and he was so good after that. Because remember, it was going to be LT or Michael Vick.
Right.
And they shied away from Michael Vick, and I don't know. I think we've moved on from Ryan Leaf. I just feel sorry for him now.
Yeah.
I feel sad for him. He actually asked to be sentenced to 5 years so he could give his family some Ryan Leaf drama-free time. Yeah. And I just feel bad for him. He's got a problem, and it's a problem that I don't understand, unfortunately.
Maybe 5 years will do him some good.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Maybe it will.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
moving on, again, to get back to, the O'Malley group, they're bringing in also Phil Mickelson, which is a huge name in San Diego. They've won a couple championships with the Dodgers. They have some money to make this team better. They have the name, obviously. Do they come in before the trade deadline? And if so, do they keep Carlos Quentin? Do they move him? What's your feeling on that?
As far as if they do, if a new ownership group does come in here, for me, even if they do buy the team before the All-Star break, I don't see an immediate impact this year or even next year, I don't know, because we're not sure what the payroll is going to be.
Right.
We know who the faces are, Phil Mickelson, and if they want to bring in a Tony Gwynn, that'd be fantastic. But for me, no, it's not going to impact this season because we're already so far behind. It's so frustrating. But, not this year. Not this year at all. But I hopefully do get a new face in here, and they actually want to put some money into the team.
Yeah, a guy can't just come in here and just dump a bunch of money into the team. You're just throwing your money away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect somebody to come in here and lose money every year. That is unrealistic.
Right.
I do expect somebody to not buy the Padres because they want to turn a giant profit. That's not what it's about either.
They're not going to turn a giant profit in the first place. They need to put some product on the field so they can put some butts on the seats before they're going to turn a product.
Exactly.
With the way baseball is and with the way the salary structure is and everything, we are not going to be perennial front-running team every year. It's not going to happen. What they're going to have to do is they're going to have to build the minor leagues, make a run at it, make their run. It either happens or it doesn't, and then they need to start over. The problem is they're not making that run. They're not.
Right.
They're not.
There's not this wave of players.
Exactly. You're not going to sign Alex Rodriguez.
No.
You're not going to sign, Soriano.
Right.
You're not going to sign those guys.
This franchise has to do it the realistic way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a model for that. We see the Marlins have done it. We've seen them.
The Rays.
Yeah.
Those are the Rays, man.
Exactly.
Consistent every year. That's a model they should take after is the Rays. I mean,
And they are trying, but the problem is that you have to take big chances. You sign a guy like Cameron Maybin for 5 years, and then he craps the bed,
Right.
and hopefully he's going to turn that around. But that's the type of thing they're trying to do. But I don't know. We definitely, if new owners come in here, it's 2 years before we see it.
Right.
I really think so.
I'm going to jump to the Twitter shout-outs. We're running out of time here. I'm going to give a shout-out to at C2SD, the great follower. He's a huge fan. He's a FDSU alum. I mean, the guy's actually been very helpful as far as the show goes, to be honest. So if you're out there,
we're gonna get him on here.
Yeah.
He can come on.
At C2SD, you need to pick him up.
Okay, and my Twitter shout out's going to be to Guy LaDouche, Aztec guy. He's going to be at Aztecs Talk. If you want to follow him, he's an Aztec advocist, if you want to say, and he really enjoys talking Aztec anything. So always has good insight on certain things, and great follow.
I'm going to give a Twitter shout out. Same person that I actually gave out a few episodes ago, at San Diego Girly. She writes a blog about every Padre game. She brings a female perspective, but she's a fan. She's just not like a girl who watches baseball. Right. She's a fan. She knows it.
Watches it.
She makes interesting comments during the games, and she is slogging through every game this year. And I feel bad. You read some of her blogs, and she's having a hard time with some of these games. You know, but she still blogs about every single one of them.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
You know, I got to hand it to her.
That's a true fan right there.
Exactly.
To put up with that all year. I mean,
exactly.
We all watch the games, but we don't have to blog about it.
No, she's got to actually come up with something interesting to say about each one. She's getting
kudos to her, yeah.
Right. So we got a couple Twitter questions. You know, you can tweet us throughout the week or during the show, and we can answer your questions during the show.
Yes.
I got one for Jason. It's from at 619_sports. Me and Justin kind of touched on this, but you know, will the Padres or Cubs take the title for the most losses?
Well, I'm pretty good friends with a big Cubs fan. We bet on the games. I had to buy him a sandwich already this year. I'm going to say the Cubs are going to lose more games. I think the Padres are going to finish with a better record. We're ahead of them right now, I know.
Right.
I say the Padres are going to finish ahead of the Cubs.
Right.
That's just my heart talking.
All right. Moving on. We got another Twitter shout out. Truth from Section D at CT2SD. Justin, this one's for you. Who should be the Padres representative for the All-Star game?
Yeah, we had already touched on this earlier. I'm full bore for Kristen Orfia. I'm on the Kristen Orfia bandwagon. He's hopped on there, and I'm driving him to the stadium because guy can play. Why not Kristen Orfia? Who else? Like we said earlier. I mean, who else is worthy of going to the All-Star game? Just pick a guy. I don't know. He's been on the biggest streak. If he carries us into the All-Star break, he's well deserving of one. So let him go.
It might as well.
Yeah.
Right. One last Twitter question here. It's from at San Diego Girly. She wants to know how long before the Chargers retire LT's number. Now, me specifically, I mean, it could be a couple of things, but I think kind of the Monday Night Football stage against Denver would be kind of a cool thing. You know, you got a national perspective.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I agree, especially since he almost went and played for Denver.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree, too. You got to put him on a big stage, and that could be a big old promotion for Qualcomm that night, and everybody have a fun time there.
National game, too. He deserves that. That's for sure.
Good deal. Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Want to thank all of you for joining San Diego Sports Junkies. I'm Josh with my co-host,
Justin.
And I'm Jason.
And we'll be streaming every Monday at 7 o'clock at pmlbsports.com. We hope you can continue to follow the show. Thank you and have a good evening.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.